say to Americans who want safe streets but are concerned due process is being violated?
The president is using every lever of his executive authority and his constitutional authority within the bounds of the immigration laws of our country to ensure that our streets are safer for law-abiding American citizens. And this administration is focused on detaining, arresting, and deporting illegal criminal aliens. And as you saw this past weekend, the president used his authority under the Alien Enemies Act to deport foreign terrorists. Tren de Aragua is now a designated foreign terrorist organization. And as I said, there were nearly 200 Tren de Aragua members who were sent to El Salvador this weekend. Countless lives will be saved because of this action. And if you talk to the families, the Angel families, as I mentioned, Blake and Riley and Jocelyn Nungray, they understand the grave cost of life at the hands of these illegal terrorists. And the president is proud to deliver on that promise for them.
If you guys can't send 200 Tren de Aragua terrorists at a time to El Salvador, where are you going to send them instead?
It's a very good question. You'd have to ask the courts and the people on the left who are trying to fight this administration for doing the business that this president sought out to do, which is to deport these foreign terrorists. And we're very grateful to President Bukele and to El Salvador for accepting these heinous monsters where they will face justice.
Fiery press conference as always with Caroline Leavitt as well as with the DC Press Corps. What is going on there, man?
Yeah, good afternoon, Jack. It seems like the D.C. media here, the mainstream media, the legacy media, just can't come to terms with the fact that we need to remove gang members that have terrorized this country. She gave several examples of how they're doing that. The heck out of here. And I don't know the obsession of how they're get rid of them, where they're going to be housed. I just know that President Trump had a mandate handed to him on November 5th that said we are going to get these people out of the country. And Jack, it just seems like they want to challenge this narrative that gang members in our country, that's a bad thing, Jack. I don't understand it, but that was the lead topic today in the briefing room.
Well, when it comes down to it, you never hear. But here's what's amazing, right? You never heard those. It's like they've totally flipped, right? So you never heard those same reporters talking about the importation of these gang members to the United States during the Biden administration. So during the Biden administration, they were imported to the United States. And we had Conor McGregor there at the White House earlier today talking about the importation of illegal migrants to Ireland and really saying, hey, this is an issue that we share, right? In Ireland, which has a much smaller population than the United States, it's a really dire issue. And the fact of the matter is, because Ireland has gone through so many population sinks over the years, that they stand at real risk of being completely overrun. And in fact, small towns, it's already happening. So when he's talking about this, these aren't just some random issues. It's actually an operation that's happening. So the media, of course, doesn't talk about it. But then when you try to fix the problem, all of a sudden they start talking about it. Not about, what about the rights of the people who live in those countries? What about the rights of the people who live in those towns and cities that don't want to be overrun, that don't want their children surrounded by evil gang members with tattoos? By the way, I love when they get off and they say, we're really, you're not giving them any due process. You're not even determining whether or not they're actually in a gang. You're just rounding up people who have facial tattoos. I'm like, the tattoos tell you what gang they're in. The tattoos are their record right there. Look, you can see how many guys that guy killed. See with the eyebrows and all of it. That's it. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Liberals don't actually, and Brian, this is one of my truisms. Liberals don't actually know anything. They just know whatever the producer in the ear is telling them, or whatever the last thing they saw on TV was, man.
You're right. And you know what? The approval rating for Democrats is so low. I think I read something today that 7% of Democrats even have a favorable ability. Those 7% of people think that chocolate milk comes from a brown cow. So I think these are the same amount of people that absolutely do not get it. They do not understand the justice system. They do not understand who has rights and who doesn't have rights. Look, Jack, we're arguing whether or not these visas, these student visas, these people that come over here on a green card, basically, have constitutional rights. The last time I checked, they did not. They were not U.S. citizens. So if you break the law here, you're going to leave. It's that simple. But we have the Democrat Party that I guess is counting on that base to the vote, perhaps? I don't know. But it's un-American, and, well, they're losing in the polls, Jack, and you and I have seen what those poll numbers look like. And I think let them continue to do this, Jack, because you and I both know Republicans should not lose another election if this is what they stand for. Gang members in this country legally. We should never lose another election.
Yeah, and it's a great, it's a great argument to have as well. People are talking about the constitutionality of the whole thing, and you have these liberal media saying, well, it's an 18th century law. It's an 18th century law. And then Tom Homan says, oh, you mean like the Constitution? Pretty sure the Constitution is older than any law that's on the books of the United States. And last I checked, we still follow that thing. So I guess 18th century isn't that bad at all, as a matter of fact. So this also puts the Democrats and the left in a box where I was talking about this earlier, that so every other day of the year, the left will say, oh, our entire system was designed by a bunch of evil European Christians and heterosexual men. It's the patriarchy. We have to tear it down. It's a white power system that's controlled by 1619, since then. And we need to overturn it and burn the whole thing down. That's your platform. That's been your platform since 2020. Okay. But then all of a sudden, oh no, President Trump hath violated the sacred Constitution. It's amazing. It's amazing. The same breath.
Yeah. And one of the good news that I wanted to bring up today's press conference, I didn't have a chance to do that, was inflation's coming down. Core inflation's coming down. Gas is down 4 straight weeks in a row, sometimes under $3 in some states. Eggs are down substantially since this whole egg debate going on. Where is that in the news? But they're focusing on protecting gang members, and that is not setting good with Americans, because Americans are struggling still financially, but it's getting better. And of course, when's the last time you heard a question about tariffs, Jack? Didn't hear it today, but you heard all about gang members. We want to make sure we protect those gang members. We didn't hear about tariffs. We didn't hear about the good news of inflation coming down. But gas does continue to drop again 4 weeks in a row. This time during the Biden administration, wait for it, gas was already up 49 cents a gallon. This time during the Biden administration, gas is down 4 weeks in a row for President Trump.
Well, and it's incredible, Brian. I love the service, right? And for the folks at home on Real America's Voice or listening here, Hour 3 with the Salem Radio Network on the Charlie Kirk Show, what Brian is doing is such a public service because he's remembering what the media complained about the week before. You see, nobody keeps track of this. So because you're there and performing, and it really is a service, by the way, to have to actually spend time around those scumbags every day, that you start to realize, wait a minute, last week you were all complaining about one thing, that thing has been fixed. Or you're worried that, tariffs would turn into inflation, and the opposite has happened. So rather than talk about that, you're going to go and complain about whatever the next thing is, or complain about whatever the next thing is. It almost feels like, hold on a second, it almost feels like you're not actually doing this in good faith after all. Maybe you don't actually believe any of these things. Or by the way, I love the, like Mark Kelly, he's selling his electric car to go buy a Chevy Tahoe which is one of the most gas guzzling trucks, available on the market, which, by the way, go ahead and buy that if you want to, but you're doing it for virtue signaling points. That's why you bought it in the first place. Yeah. And now you're selling it because Elon Musk isn't a darling of the left anymore. That's all you do. All they do is virtue signal. They don't actually believe it. But what do they believe? They believe in having power over you, over your mind, and over your families.
Yeah, Jack, real quickly, not one question on DOGE today either. That dominated the last 3-4 weeks was DOGE, Elon Musk. Not one. So apparently, they're not really concerned about. They really are concerned about getting rid of fraud, abuse, and in our government, waste, fraud, and abuse in our government, because they didn't bring it up today.